Hi everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know I haven't had much of a presence on social media recently. I haven't been posting many videos, and I want to just let you guys know that, the last few months, really all of this year, I've been very deep into my own ascension process, my own expansion. And with that, I am working on bringing in some new skills and abilities, some new opportunities in ways that I can support those of you who need it. So that's why I haven't been very active. And over the next several months, I probably won't be very active because I'm working on learning some of those new techniques and putting some things together. I'm also being guided to travel around quite a bit over the next 3 months, and so I'll be doing that. And I'm also pretty booked right now with reading, so I have a lot going on, and my energy is pretty limited these days. So I do want to thank you for hanging in there with me as I make this, transition in my journey. I'm very excited about the things that are going on for me, and I'm hoping to give all of you more information about some of the things that I've been working on very, very soon. So, um, thank you all for your support. I believe that you guys that I connect with through these videos and through social media, you are absolutely the best, and I always feel your love and support for me and my work, and I'm eternally grateful for it. I did have my retreat a few weeks ago, and I can't believe it's been that long since the last time I made a video. The retreat went really well. I had a great time. I think everybody else had a great time. And this is certainly one area that I plan on doing some expansion in and doing more of these smaller conferences, smaller retreats. That allows me to spend more one-on-one time with each of you, and creates this really wonderful um, cohesive group of soul family there to support each other. So that's one way that um, I see possibly supporting um, people in the future. So yeah, it was really wonderful, and I want to thank those that attended. What I want to talk to you all about today is the incoming energy of the Gemini new moon and the Sagittarius full moon. As per what I just discussed, I'm going to kind of combine these two moons, and I may come back and add more to it if I feel called. But I think I can go through the gist of what's happening over the next month in this video. So the Gemini new moon is happening on June 3rd, and then we'll have the Sagittarius full moon on June 17th. So let's look at the energies of Gemini and Sagittarius from an astrological perspective. When we're looking at Gemini is communication, we all know that. But Gemini is where we learn the function of language, and we use language to label things, to understand things, and to categorize our surroundings. The energy of Gemini is always about expanding information, gathering information, always wanting to know more, always having that curious mind. Sagittarius, the opposite sign of Gemini, then takes that knowledge and tries to create a deeper meaning, a deeper understanding about life from that. Sagittarius creates the framework of our philosophy and our beliefs. So we might say, for example, very simplistically, Gemini, this is a chair. The chair is made of wood. The chair is brown. I sit on the chair. And then Sagittarius would say, like, well, what is the meaning of chair? What is the deeper function of having a chair? So we take the knowledge that we gather, and then we're creating this framework of understanding that ultimately becomes our personal philosophy or our belief system. As we move over the next couple weeks, we're going to have Jupiter, which is in its own sign of Sagittarius, squaring Neptune, which is in its own sign of Pisces, and then these moons creating a T-square with that energy. And so we're going to need to go through a lot of shifts in our perspective and shifts in our belief systems. And it's time for us to let go of a lot of belief systems and to let go of this rigidness that we may have developed in belief systems. And this is true of the twin flame journey and rethinking our beliefs around the twin flame journey. For those of you, especially that are 2012ers and the couple years after the 2012ers, I think this energy is going to allow you to make some big shifts in your understanding. When we look at the concept of twin flames, and even to say that, when we look at the concept of twin flames, it doesn't quite feel right to me. But I'm going to just roll with the wording of that, and I'll bring you back to an understanding of why I'm saying that in a minute. But especially around 2012 and those few years after, when there was this huge explosion of twin flame phenomenon, and all these people came out, and it was bringing in this Gemini energy, and we were trying to label and categorize the twin flame journey. What are twin flames? What does this mean? What does this, how can I understand this on a mental level? I think that's the best way to say it. And that evolves into the Sagittarian energy. And from that desire to mentally label the journey, then we begin to get a system of beliefs around the twin flame journey. Some examples of that would be, when you go on YouTube and you get hundreds of, the top 10 signs you're a twin flame. The 14 steps to union. I could go on and on about, how we've tried to create this structure around the journey. And that was fine for that time. That was needed because so many people were waking up to this journey. And, we were going from, a lot of us, either slightly awakened or some not awakened to moving through this very metaphysical journey, and we're trying to understand it. And so it was okay that we did that and we created that framework. But then we evolved to a point that we have to expand beyond the framework. Now, I want to be very clear right here that I am not saying that we need to expand beyond twin flames necessarily. What I want you to understand is that your experience as a twin flame is valid. Your experience, your journey, that is valid, and it's your truth, and it's real. What I'm talking about is then the framework that we develop to try to categorize that journey. Because then those things becomes programming, or we adhere too rigidly to the belief system, and then we limit ourselves from growing. Look at runner and chaser, right? When several years ago, everybody was talking about runner chaser, and then we've evolved beyond that. But sometimes we get too stuck in certain modes. And there are ways that these things are limiting us. Even if we talk about, what are the signs? What are the true signs of being a twin flame? What are the 10 steps to twin flame union? What are the 5 top reasons that you're experiencing separation? We could go on and on. And those things then become too limiting of a structure if we adhere too rigidly to them. Everybody's journey as a twin flame is different. And there's a reason for that. So that people can't be programmed with certain concepts and belief systems. You all know that part of this journey is breaking free of programming and breaking free of beliefs. How we do that is we begin to look at the signs that are squaring the Gemini Sagittarius axis, which is Virgo and Pisces. So the energy of Virgo is about discernment. Virgo takes the knowledge that we gather in Gemini and uses discernment. Not everything that you learn is going to be useful to you. Not everything you learn is going to be your truth. So through Virgo, we decide, I can use this. I can't use that. We use discernment. This has a lot to do with us coming into our heart center now. Our hearts are becoming more and more active, and we can discern truth easier and more rapidly, and that is helping everyone. We have to discern what is helpful and what is not helpful. There's a lot of good information out there that is written in purity and truth that's meant to help people. And there's also a lot of stuff out there that is written to gain profit or power. So that's why we run everything through our heart, and we see what is the energy behind the words. My dear friend Kalina Milnar put out a video not too long ago about getting in touch with your heart and how to gain a better understanding of what your heart is trying to tell you as far as, what is truth and what is resonating for you. So you can go to her YouTube channel and check that out if you need to. And the opposite side of that is Pisces. Remember, that's where Neptune is. And Pisces represents what is beyond reality, what is beyond the physical world, source energy. You see my quote here on the screen, we are beyond words. The energy of Pisces is that which we can no longer, that we cannot really describe through language. And that's what the twin flame journey is. You can't really understand it through language alone because it's too deep. The ego is what wants to label and categorize, but the soul just feels the connection through the heart. And when we go through the energy of Pisces, we get into surrender, and we get into allowance, and we let go of expectations. So those are the ways that we then can let go of any kind of rigid adherence that we still might be having. I'm specifically talking about twin flames and those belief systems, but of course this is going to relate to all belief systems in your life. But I'm specifically talking about twin flames because a lot of people are dealing with triggers right now that is trying to move them beyond their expectations. And the expectations are often connected to what you're holding around beliefs. A lot of the twin flame journey automatically creates beliefs or expectations, for example, that union is the ultimate fulfillment, and that until we are in union, we are stuck, or we're failures, or we're less than, or we're not doing or living up to something. And that puts a lot of pressure on people, and it creates expectations for the partners, because a lot of that is then projected onto them. This is one area where I want to kind of show how our beliefs can create a limitation and how this is being triggered right now. In the last video that I did, some of the information that came through me channeled was about this incoming energy and how the belief systems that were created around twins was useful for a while. Now it's no longer useful, and it needs to be upgraded, is what I'm getting. It needs to be expanded. It needs to catch up with where our consciousness has shifted to. And that's only going to happen by us looking at what our thoughts and expectations are here. So sorry about that. I got off a little bit of a tangent. But yeah, so we get these beliefs and expectations that are created around union. And then we project that onto our partners. And we think that if our partners would just get their acts together, we could be in union and then everything would just be wonderful. And that is not truth. that's a false belief system on a lot of different levels. And my friends Rob and Angie at Twinfinity will tell you that just because you're in union doesn't mean that this journey stops, and it doesn't mean that the clearing stops, because ascension is the primary goal. But we see that through a lot of what is out there in the twin flame community, these expectations about when union is going to come. We put a lot of focus on the divine masculine, for example. And again, it was fine for a while for us to do that. But that has started to keep us in a loop that's not serving us anymore. As I said in my last video, what I was shown was that the more we continually focus through communicating, through writing, through videos about the divine masculine and the karmic partners, the more we're feeding all our energy to that, and we're creating more of what we don't want, when we need to drop that and focus on our inner power and our sovereignty. As I said in the video before, that yeah, I've been guilty of doing that at times as well. But that doesn't mean that we can't change, that we can't move forward. And so, as I mentioned, a lot of people are getting triggered right now, and have been for the last couple of months, getting triggers from their twin to detach and to drop expectations. And this is actually something that happens quite, cyclical, is there gets this big buildup, the union's happening, and then there's a trigger, and then, union doesn't happen, and the energy has to be released, and it creates another shift for us. So perhaps it was a little bit of that, like there was building expectations. Now, for some twins that I've been working with, there was a lot of expectations being built with their twin. Like their twin was saying, I'm going to do this, and we're going to be together, and I'm changing. And then, for whatever reason, they shifted and they went back into fear mode. Well, we know why they did that. They did that to trigger you. And they did that to trigger you to let go of the expectations that you were holding. And yeah, it may seem unfair how that happened, but it's very effective. So there's been a lot of releasing. This whole year, as I said in my video on the Sirius portal, I said, like, this is going to be a year of releasing. And that has been the truth. And June will also be a month of releasing. So these triggers are getting us to this point. And it's happening because we need to stand stronger in our power. Those of you that are here to anchor the divine feminine template, you need to create sovereignty. And if you're living on an expectation of union, you're not in your full sovereignty. Those expectations can often prevent one from living in the moment, because instead you're chasing some future event. So we have to stop waiting. And this is, this is not something new. It's one of those things that creeps up on us, even if we have every intention of not waiting. When the trigger comes, then we realize on an ego level, we were waiting. We were having an expectation. And it feels like a pretty hard slap from the universe when that expectation is broken. But what they're showing me is that these beliefs, these projections onto the other person, the projections of the karmic partner, and all of this can keep one in a holding pattern that's not useful. So it's time to break that. What we're learning through this process is that, that union does exist within. And no matter what happens in the 3D reality, you cannot keep that connection out from the 5D for very long. It creeps back in. There needs to be a lot of discernment happening. I'm not sure how I want to word that. It's like they're wanting us to appreciate the 5D connection, to live in the moment and be grateful for the 5D connection. At the same time, learning to balance the 3D and practicing non-judgment. And with that non-judgment, there can be this state of non-expectation. I'm not sure if that's a word, but you know what I mean, because the 5D connection is so strong and so beautiful that it's very hard to keep this ego out. But it's the ego that creates the expectation. And it's the ego part of us that wants to label and therefore create this framework. Well, if this is happening, then this must be the meaning of it. Something that I wanted to mention was that the Sagittarian energy, we can use that at times to, yes, it creates a framework for us, but we can use those beliefs to almost become a crutch. And it's like we build a belief structure that protects us from the things that hurt us or the things that we don't want to acknowledge. But when that structure collapses, and in this case with twin flames, if you're using a belief structure to keep you safe, when the trigger happens and that belief system crashes, that's very painful. And that really shows you ego. An example of this is I'm trying to think, like I've lost my train of thought here. Well, okay, when we start the twin flame journey, we want to explore it. We want to gather information about it. We want to understand it. What is the primary reason for that? It's so that one can find comfort with the belief that if we're twins, it means we're going to be in union. And when people are seeking the confirmation that they're twin flames outside of themselves, the biggest reason they're doing that is because their ego wants confirmation that if we're twin flames, that must mean we're going to be together. And so that's one way that this energy can build a belief. And so, one can cling to that belief to make them feel safe. Oh, well, we're twins, so we're going to be in union. And that does help. At the same time, when you get that tower moment and you get this huge trigger of that expectation and your ego gets slapped down and it's like, oh, no, we're not going to be together. And then you have to go through that releasing of the expectation. But then that 5D love comes back. The 5D connection comes back and you regain your faith and your confidence. And it's a cycle, okay? But it's time now to really look at and see how some of these expectations and patterns might be limiting you, and let them go. Just, claiming your sovereignty. It's really time to detach from your partner. And I know a lot of you are feeling it. You've not only had that trigger, but I think you can just sense in the energy like it's time to let go. It's another level of release. Those that are anchoring the divine masculine template need us to prove, and I don't want to say it that way. What I want to say is that the divine masculine is going to stay in their patterns until those that are anchoring the divine feminine energy can fully be sovereign and fully acknowledge that the connection is multidimensional and completely surrender to source and to have faith and trust in the universe that everything's going to be okay. Again, it's not saying that your twin flame journey is not real or that union may not happen for you. It's just not waiting, not expecting, but living in the moment, appreciating your sovereignty, your inner power, appreciating who you are, knowing that union lives within you, knowing that you're one with source energy, knowing that there's nothing but love and support in the universe, and trusting every moment. When we are there, then there'll be a shift for the divine masculine as well. And it's not like the divine masculine aren't shifting, they are, but the divine feminine is still rising. There's still more to come. And as we look towards what's coming with the eclipses and moving towards the fall equinox, there has to be a lot of healing and releasing between the divine feminine and the divine masculine to create a sense of balance and a sense of trust. And a deepening of the connection between the divine masculine and feminine to source. So we are beyond words. We are beyond this mental understanding. And all of that comes from our heart. That is all that we need. And as our heart and minds become more aligned, that's when we're ready to detach from these things. So this energy coming in is showing us how much we have grown and the community has grown and our understanding has grown. There will be activations, of course, and over this next week, Some of you may be experiencing a lot of downloads, preparing for the energy that's coming in. You may not be able to sleep very well um, because of the downloads coming in. So I hope that made sense to you and resonated with you and helps you. I have to laugh because this image that I posted here, you can't see it, but there's a number associated with it for for, I don't know the terms. I'm not a very technical person. Anyways, at the end of the number, it's 144. So lovely confirmation. I've been seeing the number 144 all the time, every day, in 111, 1111. We are continually expanding our consciousness and ascending these days. It's truly amazing. Yes, there can be some hard times, but I think also many of you are seeing that even despite the trigger, you're moving through the energy of the trigger so quickly and letting go of the ego thoughts and the drama and the attachment, and you're getting back into your heart. And that's a great way for us to see how far we've come. You know, for those of you that are those 2012ers and those years around there, you just take a minute to think about how far you've come on this journey. From what you first thought it was to be a twin flame to what you know being a twin flame means now. And that's just going to keep expanding, keep breaking free. Until we have no attachments beyond the attachments of the heart and of love. If you would like a personal reading with me, or would you like to know more about me, you can find my information and my blog at twinstrology.com. Thank you guys so much. I'm sending you a lot of love, and I'll speak to you soon.